microphone. Can you do it over here? No. Okay. We're live? Okay, good morning everybody. Daf Yud Aleph. Okay, Zog the Gemara. 5 lines from the Taf. Daf Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph. Okay, so we saw in the Mishnah that if I can't find the Mishnah. We saw in the Mishnah that if the woman saw Mahmas Oynes, meaning it wasn't a standard period, it was because of something that happened, so she's still Dayashata and she's still Mitama only from now on and not backwards. Says the Gemara, Ama Abuna, Kafza Verasa, Kafza Verasa, Kafza Verasa. What happens if she jumped and then she saw blood? And then again, 30 days later, she did the same thing. On the same day, she jumped and she saw blood because of that day/jumping. Says Rav Huna, Kavala Veses. She's Kovea a Veses. We'll see in a second what kind of a Veses. Because we have here. Sorry?
She do it on purpose? She jump on purpose?
Aerobics.
Doesn't really make a difference. Doesn't make a difference.
Aerobics.
Yeah. So says the Gemara Lamai. What kind of a Veses was she Kovea? What is the Veses? Because we have here two things. We have here a specific date, and we have here a specific action. Says the Gemara, if we're going to say it's because the day is Kovea, we know and we see that if she doesn't do this jump, whatever it is, she doesn't see. So we can't say that it's just the day that is the Kovea the Veses. No, it's the jumping that is the Veses, meaning that if she jumps, even though she doesn't see it, she has to worry about it and she has to check herself, she's also that day, etc. Says the Gemara, Vatanya, we know that if they want to be kovea a veset, according to an oynes, meaning an action that causes this seeing of the blood, even if she did it several times, you're not kovea veses, my love, like kovea veses klal. Mashma that you can't be kovea a veses at all due to an action. Says the Gemara like. No. What it means like of a veses, when it says that you're not kovea veses, meaning it's not kovea for days on their own or for the jumps on their own. Aval kovea veses liyomim ulekfitzos. This veses that she's kovea is for the two of them together. Meaning that if on a specific day, when she jumps, she sees, and then again, 30 days later, the same thing. She jumps and she sees in that same day, and then for 3 times, she's kovea veses for the day and the jump. Meaning, if the day comes and she didn't jump, she's not kosher for veses. If she just jumps on any other day, she's also not kovea veses. It's the combination of the two things. Says the Gemara, we just said that she's not kovea for the days on their own. Of course not. We just said that the only reason that she saw was she jumped. Meaning that on that same day, if she didn't jump, she didn't see. So what's the chiddush? Ama Avashi, it's a very interesting case. She jumped on all the way from the peanut gallery. Okay, she jumped on a Sunday and she saw. And then 30 days later she jumped on a Sunday again and she saw again. And then 30 days later, she jumped on the Shabbos before that Sunday and she didn't see. And then on Sunday, she saw, but there was no jump. So I would think by her seeing on Sunday, without doing this jump, so this proves to us that the reason she saw is because of the date and nothing to do with the jump. No, what she saw today was also because of the jump of yesterday. Why did she see yesterday on Shabbos after she jumped? She jumped a bit early, So we see again, it's the combination of the day and the jump together that is what is kovea a specific
And
veses.
if she didn't jump at all, would she not have seen a period? Is that what we're saying?
Then it wouldn't be a vessel. Then she wouldn't be co-vessel if she didn't jump at all.
Yeah,
Because there's no.
Explanation that makes her kavua.
good question. I don't know.
What's the cutoff you're asking?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
How far back? I don't know.
Yeah.
What happens if she doesn't see that Sunday? The next day she jumps. If she choshes that day, I don't know. You have homework. I want an answer tomorrow. Lishna achrina. Okay, the same idea as we just saw, just in a little bit different. If she jumped and she saw, and then 30 days later she jumped and she saw, and 30 days later she jumped and she saw, she's covered herself of veses for days and not for the jump. Says the Gemara, how could that be? We just said, right? We understood. Yeah, this is a Lishna achrina. It's as if we're saying this before we said what we just previous
You're saying
version.
together the combination, it's not making the kavua. Only the seed.
Only the days. That's what the Gemara is understanding. So the Gemara now is going to explain. What are we talking about? Hey chidami. Rashi, the kofitz bechad b'Shabbos v'chazoi, v'kofitz bechad b'Shabbos v'chazoi, u'lechad b'Shabbos achrina chazoi b'lefitz. What is the case over here? Here's the parentheses that you skip out. She sees on a Sunday with jumping. She sees on another with jumping. In this kind of a case, she's kovea veses for days only, not with the jump. Why? The hasam. Because on the third Sunday she sees without a jump, that proves to us that the twice before that she saw, the reason that she saw was just because of the days and nothing to do with the jump. Okay, it's very interesting here how you see in both places it has the Ubeshabbos Kofta V'Lei Chazoi. One is a square parentheses, one is a circle parentheses. Okay, one you're supposed to read out, one not. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, right.
Fine. There's the Mishnah. It says, Afal Pishamu Dayashata. So we just said in the Mishnah that these women, a woman that has a veses kavua, okay, she doesn't worry. If she sees blood, she doesn't worry backwards. She always worries from now on. So the Mishnah.
Women again?
What? No, this is the veses. Someone who has a veses kavua.
Nothing to do with the four women before.
No. Someone who has a veses kavua that in a specific day and a specific date she sees, so she doesn't have to worry from when she sees backwards. Okay. So says the Mishnah, even though we said the shaita, meaning that she starts being tameh from now on and not backwards, tzricha liyos boidekes. She still has to check herself every day. We'll see in a minute when. And we'll see the Gemara weiter also why. Okay? So she still has to check. Except, we'll see, the Gemara talks about it. Chutz min hanida. Except for someone who is already a niddah. She's a tamei niddah, so she doesn't have to check again. The Gemara is going to discuss why would we think that she does and why not. Someone who is seeing blood, but it's a tahar blood, meaning which is after she gives birth. So she's tamei for the first either a week or 2 weeks, depending if it's a boy or girl, and then afterwards is a period of dam tahar, meaning that all the dam that she sees then is considered dam of tahara. So she doesn't have to check because we're not worried that a dam tamei is going to come in that time. Umishameshes be'idim. Now this is a new takana. Except for checking, she has to be mishamish every time she's mishamish with her husband. She has to check herself before and after the shimush. Okay, for two reasons. First of all, that she should know if she's allowed to be with her husband. Second of all, if chas v'shalom afterwards she finds, then they both have to bring carbon because she was a niddah. Chutz, the same idea. Chutz mi yesheves al dam tohar. Someone that has a dam tohar already, even though she's seeing blood, she's tohar. She's allowed to be with her husband. There's no point of checking. Ubesula shedomeh toharim. Someone who is a besula, we'll see in the Gemara Vayta that the first 4 days, in certain ways, she is still tahar even though she's seeing blood, so she doesn't have to check before shimush. And what we said at the beginning of the Mishnah, that she still has to check, she has to check twice. She has to check in the morning and in the evening. In the morning to make sure that she didn't see throughout the night, and that she could start working with the Haris today, and then in the evening to see that all she did in the past day, everything is okay. And when she wants to be with her husband, she also has to check herself to make sure that she is tahor. So this is all talking about regular women. Kohanos, a woman who's a kohen or married to a kohen, and she eats truma, so they have to check even more. It's not enough that they check in the morning and in the evening. When they come to eat truma, they also have to check themselves to make sure that they don't eat truma betuma. He says no, not only before you eat, also when they're finished eating. The same idea as we said every time. That's right.
Period?
Yeah. Okay. The Gemara is going to talk about here exactly what we're talking. How we're talking about. Yes. Okay. So we said in the Mishnah that the Niddah doesn't have to check twice a day. Says the Gemara, in the first 7 days that she sees that she's called a Niddah, she does not have to check to see if she's still seeing or not. Says the Gemara, Hanichal Rab Shimon ben Lakish, the Amar Isha Kevas Loveses B'Sech Yemei Zivasa. Ve'en Isha Kevas Loveses B'Sech Yemei Nidasa Shapir. What happens if she sees for 2 days, and then she stops for 2 days, and then she sees again? If she koveh herself a veses of 4 days, right? She saw on day 1. She saw on day 1 and day 2. She saw blood of nidus. Then she stopped for 2 days, 3 and 4 she didn't see, and then on day 5 she sees again. Is that a new veses? Is that a new cycle, a new period?
It's part of the 7 days.
That's the machlekes. Okay, so what happens if she has that kind of thing in the Ziva days? Yeah, we have Niddah days of 7, okay, and then Yemei Ziva is 11 days after that. If she sees again in the Yemei Ziva, we do start a new cycle. Okay, that's if she sees. That's a different thing. Okay, we're talking about here cycles, right? So if she sees again in the Ziva days, she starts a new cycle. That everybody agrees. Now, what happens if she sees again? She stopped the blood. And then she started it again. Is that considered a new cycle or not? So according to Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, he says, Isha kevas loveses b'zech yemei zivasa. As we said, in the days of Ziva, she is koveya nu veses. Ava ve'in isha kevas loveses b'zech yemei nidasa shapir. During the days of Niddah, she doesn't start a new cycle, so that's good. That's why she doesn't have to check. It doesn't make a difference. What?
It's part of the 7 days.
Yeah, it's not a new cycle. So there's no point of her checking again. Right? She saw blood. Now for 7 days she doesn't have to worry about anything. Doesn't matter if she stops and she sees again. It's all considered one.
This stop-start thing
Yeah.
happens on day 8 to 11.
That's right. Then it's a new cycle. It's 18.
You don't say she's Yemei Ziva?
No, that's what we just said. Yemei Ziva, you restart the cycle. So according to Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, it goes fine. That's why she doesn't have to check. Because it doesn't make a difference to us if she stops, if she sees again. Same thing, it's not new veses. According to Rabbi Yechanan, that says that we could start a new cycle within the Yemei Niddah. Technically, what does that mean? I don't really understand, because it means that she's going to have a veses every 4 days, every 5 days.
She starts counting a new 7
Yeah,
days.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Of Niddas?
Yes. No, not of nidus. Of veses, a cycle, right? We have the whole. What's this whole veses thing? This whole second is a cycle.
If it's 3 times.
Yeah, if it's 3 times that way, that is a period every 7 days. I don't know. She probably can't live with the husband anymore. But okay. So according to Rabbi Yechanan, that there is a difference if she sees again. Tivdai dilma kabbalah veses. According to Rabbi Yechanan, she should check during Niddah days, because maybe she'll stop seeing and she'll start seeing again, and then she's koveh herself a new veses. So Rabbi Yechanan, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, Ki amina no, Eicha de chazisa mimayin sosum, Aval chazisa mimayin patuach lo'amra. Says Rabbi Yechanan, you're right. If she stopped seeing, she has to check again. But if she's flowing the 7 days, there's no point of checking. Why? Because once she is seeing already, okay, there's no start of a cycle. Okay,
Wouldn't
it depends.
Everybody agree to that?
What?
Wouldn't everybody agree to that if she sees the whole time? So what's the point of checking?
Yeah, that's exactly what we said in our mission. Niddah does not have to check if she's seeing straight.
Isn't the case that on the third day she didn't see? She stopped seeing.
Again, so there's two shitas over here that had to explain this Mayan Pesuach and Mayan Sosum. Okay, so the one way of saying it is, let's say the first two times, okay, she saw with that is the start of the Veses, and then the third time was within the Yemei Niddah. Okay, and that I think also today, Halakha L'maisa, when you count Veses, if someone has a Veses Kavua for Aleph, or let's say for Hey, okay, and then she saw in Hey, and then she saw in Hey again, and then the third time she's already on Dalid, okay, is Hey considered her Veses Kavua or not? Okay, is that because that's considered a Mayan, that the third time is considered a Mayan Pasuach, meaning the bleeding started already a day earlier. Okay, the question is now, is Hey considered, she's seeing now, but that's also her Veses. Okay, so there is machlekes, different sheets of how you count the Vestas. So that's the question. If she sees blood on the same date that she saw the previous two times, but it didn't start on that day, okay, that is considered a Mayan Pasuach. Okay, and Mayan Sasu means that all the times she saw, that is the first day. Okay, so that's the one sheet they can explain. That way, second sheet, it depends on what days she saw. To see whoever wants to go deeper into it, Rashi brings both sheetas. It's a little bit hard to understand the second one.
She could have a 5-day Veses, you're saying, 5-day cycle.
In general, yes, but that's not what we're talking about. Mitzias, day 5. Weiter. Vayesheves al dam Torah. We said the second woman who does not have to check daily is someone who is during Yemei Dam Tohar, meaning past day 7 and past day 14 of her birth, depending on if it's a boy or girl. Says the Gemara, we're talking here about a woman on day 7 after having a boy, or on day 14 after having a girl, that she wants to start her days of Tahar blood, Dam Tohar. Says the Gemara, According to Rav, he says no problem. She starts bleeding after birth. She could bleed now for 2 months straight. It looks the same thing. Torah says from now on it's Tahar. Till now it's Tahar. So in this case it goes fine. She doesn't have to check herself to see any difference between the days before Dam Torah and the days of Dam Torah. But according to Levi, who says it's two different flows. The first flow is Dam Tomei. We have to wait and see that in that case, Tivdak, she does have to check. Dilma Akati loy posakahu mayan Tomei. She has to make sure that the first 7 or 14 days stopped, and now we have this new flow of blood. So she does have to check either on day 7 or day 14, depending if it's a boy or girl. Okay? So what does Levi tell us? Why do we see in our Mishnah that we don't have to check? This goes according to Beis Shammai. The Beis Shammai says the Amrei Mayan Echad. Beis Shammai say that there's only one flow and there's no change and stop between the two. V'sasan lon Tana keBeis Shammai. And the Mishnah is stops. So the Gemara asks, "V'sasan lon keBeis Shammai." How does the Gemara tell us Stam Mishnah that goes according to Beis Shammai? You know, halacha is not like Beis Shammai. So how could you say it goes to Beis Shammai? Says the Gemara, Stam v'achakach machlekes, Stam v'achakach machlekes, ein halacha kestam. You're right. This goes according to Beis Shammai, but we know that there's a din that's Stam, if there's a Stam, and then there's a machlekes. We'll see right in the Gemara, there is a machlekes over there. So when there's a Stam and Achakach machlekes, we don't go according to Stam. So we're not worried that the Mishnah brought Stam and saying that halacha is like Beis Shammai. Really, halacha is not like Beis Shammai. So that's answer number 1, how Levi could answer our Mishnah that someone who wants to sit on Dam Torah doesn't have to. V'bay Seima, says the Gemara, no. Miktani mevakeshes leishev. Yeshev Tani. We're talking about a woman that knows she's already during Yemei Torah. She did a check that there's a difference depending according to Levi. She didn't do according to, doesn't make a difference. Over here we're talking about someone who is already during Yemei Torah. She doesn't have to check anymore because she is during the Yemei Torah. Of course not. What's the difference if she doesn't make a difference? She's Torah. Whatever blood she's going to see, she's Torah. What's the point? Why should we think she should have to check? Says the Gemara, I would think that she will see again blood during Yemei Tohar. She would do a new Veses. Why? Because she stopped during these Yemei Tohar, and then she started again a new Re'iyah. Maybe that would be a new Veset. Yeah? Okay. We have the days of Yemei Tohar. She stopped seeing now.
In the Yemei Tohar.
Yeah.
So
And now maybe she's going to start seeing again, and then she's going to be Kovei Veses. So I would think she'd have to check and be Kovei Veses. Kamash Malan, the Mayan Tohar, the Mayan Tomei Loi Kovo. So the Chiddush is no, from a flow that is Tohar to a flow that is Tomei, we're not Kovei. So even if she sees during these Yemei Tohar, that is not Kovei Veses, meaning if she sees towards the end of the Yemei Tohar, okay, and then 30 days later she sees again, and 30 days she sees again, it's not considered that she saw 3 times. Because the first time she saw during Yemei Tohar are not considered for Veses. That's right, it's not counted for Yemei Veses. Yeah. Okay. Says in the Gemara, now the other way around. That goes very well according to Levi. That says there's 2 different flows, and it doesn't go from Tameh to Tahar, from Tahar to Tameh. So that's very good. That's why the Tahar is one separate thing, and it doesn't go together. According to Rav, that says that it is one flow, maybe she could still see, and then it's a new Re'iyah, either it's a new start. Says the Gemara, no, as we said, as we said, no, even though it's one flow, it doesn't count together. Meaning, if she saw during Yemei Tahara, it's not count number 1 for Veses. We said that she has to check herself every time she is with her husband, who, except for someone who is with Dam Tohar or a Besula. Says the Gemara Tan Hasam. Tinoikes. Oh, so that's the question, how long? That's exactly the question of the Gemara now. How long is the blood that she sees? We worry that is Besulim and not a Re'iyah.
An old person.
What?
An older person stopped.
Okay, what about that?
Does she have to check herself anymore?
So that's what we saw already, according to Rabbi Lezer, Dayashaita. That's a Muber since Cana. That's what we saw already before. And awesome. Okay, a 5-year-old girl, not time for her to see, and she got married. We give her 4 nights that when she is with her husband, even though she sees blood, that blood we consider. Says Beisila, no, even more than that. No, because we know it's a wound, it's a cut, whatever it is. Then she's mutter to be with her husband until it's cured. Meaning, if it continues bleeding the whole time, she is allowed to be with him. What does he say? He says like this: what Beisila said that we wait until it heals is only that she was with her husband every single time, and every single time she was with him, she saw blood. And then, in such a case, any time she sees blood, we still say that it is from the Besulim. But if she was afterwards one time with her husband and she did not see blood, then we say, no, the Dam Besulim is gone, finished. She saw now again blood, now she is Tameh. Yeah, it doesn't, according to Beisila, it has to do with days. According to Beisila, it doesn't go, it has nothing to do with time. It has to do with the healing process. Yeah. Okay, if a night went and she wasn't Mishamish, and then she saw blood without Tashmish, she's still Tameh. Why? Because what she saw now is not because of the Tashmish. Every day that she was with her husband, okay, and she saw blood during Tashmish, so the next day, even if she sees blood without Tashmish during the day, we say it's Dam Besulim. Why? Because she was with her husband, that aggravated the wound, and the blood kept on coming. But if she was one night without being the husband, there was no tashmish, so the basulim weren't aggravated. So the blood that she sees the next day, already we say it's regular blood, and she is tamei. We don't say it's dam basulim anymore.
A silly question. Is that how we pass?
No.
No.
No. Today, as soon as she sees first time, she's tamei.
We're talking about what she has
Remarkably in all directions.
What?
Yes.
and she has started. Yes.
No. Here we're talking about only someone who did not start the period. We said Tinagah. Okay. Nishtanu maredomim shelo tmeya. If the color of or the look of the blood has changed, meaning that when the first night, because of dam basulim, the color was this kind of a shade, and then the next day or 2 days later, whatever it is, we see that it's a different shade. We say it's not dam basulim anymore, and she is tamei because that's right. Because we say, yeah, we say it's new blood, it's a different blood, and she is tamei. Sorry. Yeah, it's the Mishnah. No, the Mishnah is Bisham and Besilo. Then Rav Gidl comes and explains Besilo. Sorry? Yeah, that's Rav Gidl. Okay, Meisiv Rabbi Yaina. Ask Rav Yaina about this last paragraph we just said of the change of the blood. Ubesula shedamei hatahirim amai teshamesh beidim. The dilma nishtano mare domim shelo. So, we just said that Besula doesn't have to check. Why? Because blood is tahor, right? So according to Rav Gidl, that said that if the blood changes, the color changes, she's tamei. Why doesn't she have to check? Teshamesh be'idim. The dilma nishtanu maredomim shelo. If we say that if the blood changes, even though it still continued day after day, she's still tamei, why do we say in our Mishnah that she doesn't have to check? She should check to see that it's the same color blood. Only in such a case she is allowed. But if the color of the blood changes, then she's not allowed. When we said at the beginning of the Mishnah, okay, that the women have to check morning and evening, what do we say? Okay, we mentioned only Niddah and someone who is sitting on Dam Torah. We didn't mention who did by Abdika. Ava Besula Shadameh Taharim by Abdika. It doesn't mention a Besula by the daily checks. The Chura Ela Kasha Nadade. Okay? So L'chura it's a Kasha. Why only by Bia, being with her husband, she has to check, but for Taharas, as we're going to see soon, she doesn't have to check a Besula. Sorry, the other way around. Being with her husband, she doesn't have to check, but for Taharas, she does have to check. So we see that there's a kasha. So what are we going to have to answer? Kasha shimsha, de'ema shama shachoron. Kasha lo shimsha. So what's the difference? In the Sefer that it says she doesn't have to be mishamish be'idim, when she's with her husband, she doesn't have to check. Why? Because she was mishamish, we worry that the color, because of the shimush, the color of the blood changes. So you can't check to see if it's the same color blood as was the first. But in the ratio, when it's talking about the check with the Haris, it's talking about there was no shimush. If there was no shimush, she does have to check to make sure that there's no bleeding.
This answer
She does have to check.
Yes.
She does.
This answer only why she doesn't check.
To make sure that the color changed.
Yeah, but why she doesn't need to check just to make she doesn't see. Because if she doesn't see Mahmatashmi, she say that after that, if she sees, she's tmeil. So she needs to check in order that she sees them. Otherwise, if she doesn't see them, she's tmeil after.
Good question. I don't know.
It has to be continuous
I don't know.
flow, otherwise it's a new blood.
I don't know. Tanya Nami Ochi. I don't prepare as much and as long as Eli does, so a lot of questions will not have answers. I apologize. Tanya Nami Ochi. Says the Braisa, Bamed Dvarim Amurim, Sheloi Poska Machmas Tashmish, Virasa Sheloi Machmas Tashmish. Says the Braisa, when do we say that any blood that she sees is Adam Besulim? We're talking about that she saw every time she was Meshamish, and then she saw even if she wasn't Meshamish, meaning at night she was Meshamish and she saw, and the next day she saw even during the day. We say it's because of Dam Besulim, as we said previously. But if she stopped seeing because of Tashmish, and the next day she saw, she's Tmeya, because we say it had nothing to do with the Tashmish anymore. The same as we said earlier, if one day she did not Mishamish with her husband, we say it healed, and the next day seeing blood has nothing to do with Dam Besulim. And Nishtanu Maradomim Shalot Tmeya, as we said before by Rav Gidol. Okay. So we said in the Mishnah, she has to check every single day. When? Twice. In the morning and in the evening, and when she's mishamish with her husband. What it says that she has to check morning and evening, we're talking about a woman who is busy with taharas. She wants to keep the things that she's doing b'tahara, so she has to check in the morning and the evening. A woman who's stam, not dealing with taharas, stam, she wants to be with her husband, muteres. She doesn't have to worry, okay? Before she's mishamish, she does not have to check herself. Says the Gemara Pshita, shachris nan. Of course we're talking about taharas because it says over here that she checks in the morning. In the morning, the only reason to be checking is for taharas. She's not checking in order to be with her husband because you're not supposed to be mishamish during the day. So the check that you do in the morning has to be that it's talking about taharas. No, it's talking about the sefer. What did it say at the end of the Mishnah? When she wants to be mishamish with her husband, in that case she has to check also. Okay, we're talking here only about a woman who is dealing with taharas. The migo, the b'dikol taharas. Says Shmuel, if she's already checking herself to make sure that she's working betahara, if she wants to be with her husband, she also has to check herself. But a woman who's not asik betahara, she doesn't have to check herself. Stamazai, she does not have to check herself before she is with her husband.
Why Mark?
If mitach that she's checking herself to betahara, she has to check herself also to be with her husband.
I mean, it's one check. It doesn't do two checks.
Before and after.
Yeah, but I mean,
Two checks.
Different times.
Before and after.
It's only for taharas.
If she's busy with taharas, then she also has to check herself when she wants to be with her husband.
Why?
One is
Mine is
shachris,
Tahara,
one is
Why? Also to continue being with tahara. She checks before to make sure that she's tahara, and afterwards to make sure that she's not becoming tameh.
The stringency by taharas.
Yeah.
Before,
What?
if it's just the house, why would you
It's not just for the taharas. If she is already doing for taharas, migo, that's the lashon of the Gemara. Okay. Because mitoich that she's doing it for taharas, she does it also for being with her husband.
herself three times.
Yeah.
According to Rashi, she doesn't think but she only checks the clock the next morning when it's light. Yeah.
That's a whole nidon whether you could look at it bichlal at night. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Rashi says she only checks the clock in the morning.
Where?
In the next Mishnah.
Okay.
Right? And they say it on here as well.
That's in his though.
Right? So therefore the check she's doing before is not to see whether she's motor.
So what is it for?
It's only for Tara to see whether the
Taharas that she did before.
she has to do before and after
Yeah. Okay.
for Tara.
Okay. Says the Gemara, Ma'ikah Mashmalan, what is the chiddush that a woman does not have to check herself stamazoi before she is with her husband? Tanina, we have a Mishnah kol hanoshim becheskas tahara lebaleim. We have a Mishnah that a woman is always becheskas tahara and she does not have to check herself before and after tashmish. Says the Gemara, no. Someone who has a vesses kavua, so all other days she doesn't have to worry about anything, and she's becheskas tahara. But a woman who does not have a vesses, maybe every single day or every time she has to worry. Maybe now she got her period, so maybe she does have to check even to be with her husband, even without being betahara. That's why we need the chiddush of Shmuel, who says only if she's busy with tahara she has to check, but if not, she's becheskas tahara for her husband. Says the Gemara, "V'masnisin b'isha sheyesh lo vesses askinan." Our Mishnah that's talking about these checks, we're talking about Isha Sheyesh Laveses, right? That's what we're talking about the whole time. So why should we think that what Shmuel says is better? Says the Gemara, no. Masnisin b'sheish leveses, ben she'en leveses. It's talking about two. Even though she does have a veses, and she knows that now is not her time for seeing, right? She has a kavua veses. She sees every Rosh Chodesh, even though now it's the middle of the month, and she knows that she usually doesn't see. The chiddush is that is the chiddush, that even though she has a veses kavua, she knows that now is not the time for her to see. If because she has to check for taharas, migoy, that she has to check for taharas, she has to check also for her husband. Says the Gemara, Shmuel already said this din, so what does he have to say it again? Where? The a woman who does not have a veses kavua is not allowed to be mishamish with her husband until she checks. So, and what do we say? What are we talking over there? Only in a case where she's busy with taharas, she has to check. Mashma, that if she's not busy with taharas, she's mutar, and she doesn't have to check. Says the Gemara, Itmar. One was said straight out that she doesn't have to check, and one was learned from the other. Itmar Tanya Nami Hochi Bamed Vorim Amun Lataharas Aval Muteres. To her husband, she's mutar, she does not have to check. Bamed Vorim Amurim Shenicha Becheskas Tahara. All we're talking about only when he left the house and she was Becheskas Tahara. So even if he comes back a few days later, she's still Becheskas Tahara and he's allowed to be with her. Aval Anicha Becheskas Tmeya. But if he left, she was Tmeya. She is still considered Tmeya until she tells him that she is Tahira.
Very good.